Good morning. My name is Jim Creamer, and you're listening to Mortgage Savvy Radio, the show that keeps you informed and helps you make better decisions when it comes to purchasing or financing your home. Thanks for listening today, especially today. I hope you're as excited as I am about the 3-day weekend. Kids are back in school on Tuesday. Schedule's finally going to settle down a little bit, at least until Thanksgiving. Something I'm definitely looking forward to, though, some scheduled time that I can get some stuff done. Our guest this week is Brian Alper. He is an account executive for Equity Title Company, and he's an avid surfer. Title is one of those things that people know very little about. However, it is a silent partner in almost every residential real estate transaction. We'll learn a little bit more about exactly what title insurance is and does, and how we can benefit from it, and even some of the services that are available to you through Brian, so please stick around for that. We also love listener questions. We love receiving them and reading them on the air, so please be sure to post your listener questions on our Facebook page at facebook.com/SwiftLoans, or send an email to radio@jimcreamer.com. If we read your question on the air, we will send you a nice gift from one of our local shops in the Newport Mesa area. Every week we do a market roundup. It's a look back at where rates were since last Saturday's show, what rates did since last Saturday's show. Let's take a look at the Freddie Mac rate survey for this week, the week beginning August 27th. It looks like we're back to where the Freddie Mac levels were about 3 weeks ago. The Freddie Mac this week says the average 30-year fixed rate was down slightly to 3.59% from 3.66 last week and 3.62 the week before that. These are not APRs. These are raw average rates from Freddie Mac. The average 15-year fixed rate this week was down to 2.86% from 2.89% the previous week and 2.88% the week before that. For both of these loans, they come with points. So the lenders charge points of 0.6% in lender fees. That's also down a touch from last week. I think last week was almost 3/4 of a point. But when you factor those points on top of the rates that I just quoted you from Freddie Mac, the APRs are actually higher than the rate. However, we have some great news from Swift Loan Funding this week regarding rates. I'm proud to announce that Swift Loan Funding is now a lender, but we're also still a broker. This allows us not only to offer the best rates from some of the best and most competitive lenders in the country, but we're also now a lender. We lend our own money. Our rates are excellent. This week, we're on top of our rate listings in comparison to even our brokered loans, with a 30-year fixed rate that has an APR of 3.375%. That's a no-cost loan. That's excellent. Our 15-year fixed is 2.875%. That's APR. That's also a no-cost loan. These are great rates. Be sure to go to our website at swiftloanfunding.com and run a fast quote. Those are live rates when you run those fast quotes. They're tied directly into our wholesale lender rate sheets and our online pricing for now our own banked lender product. So what you see is what you get on there. All costs are already included. Hopefully you'll find some great rates on there that will save you some money. We are about into September. This is the last weekend, or the last week of August, actually. This weekend, starting today, is our first weekend in September. Markets for rates didn't really fluctuate too much this week. We had a good week in rates. I think rates stabilized this week. The volatility of rates in comparison to the last couple of weeks was pretty tame. I think what traders were doing this week was they were waiting for, well, there's two things actually. They were waiting for Bernanke's speech on Friday, his Jackson Hole speech on the state of what the Fed was going to do about interest rates and stimulating the economy. And also another quiet trading week for us here in the United States because people are getting ready or winding down for the long weekend and getting ready to begin September. Bernanke, at the Jackson Hole address that he gave on Friday, basically said that the government still needs to stimulate the economy because the economy is not growing at the pace that they'd expected. We saw that in the numbers this week that came out, and those economic numbers really didn't do much. Again, the markets just waited to see what direction the Fed was going to take with interest rates. As a result of what was said by Bernanke, the interest rates for mortgages really responded in our favor on Friday. We look forward to those rates continuing to stay strong on Monday. What we say in the mortgage business is down on Friday, down on Monday, up on Friday, up on Monday. So we're not back to work until Tuesday, but the markets actually ended very strong on Friday, which means that we're going to start with better rates on Tuesday. Hopefully, we're going to trade mortgage rates starting next week within the boundaries of a predictable and reasonable pattern so that we don't see too much fluctuation in rates. It's exciting to see that rates are staying low. So keep that in mind. Take advantage of the low rates. I think we're, again, pushing against these all-time lows. Absolutely, you need to be looking at refinancing your mortgage right now, buying a home, buying an investment property, upgrading to a bigger home, things of that nature. You can actually go to our Swift Loan Funding website, as I'd mentioned earlier, and run your own rates. Those are live rates tied to our wholesale lender rate sheets and now to our secondary marketing rate sheets for our own product. The Swift Loan Funding 30-year fix, as I'd mentioned, is 3 3/8 at a zero closing cost, and that's the APR. 2.875 on the 30-year or on the 15-year fixed. Those are good rates. Go run your rate. See what the results give you. That's what you'll get if you decide to apply for a mortgage with Swift Loan Funding. Our guest today is Brian Alper. He's a sales representative for Equity Title. Where's Equity Title based, Brian?
Well, we're actually part of Title Resources Guarantee, which is a national title insurer, although my office in Equity Title is right here in Santa Ana, right in the heart of Orange County.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
So how long have you been in the title business?
Oh, about 10 years.
And how'd you get into it?
It's one of those things, you kind of know somebody, and you don't go on monster.com or whatever. The jobs aren't really posted there. It's kind of, you know, somebody in the business, and you really, for lack of a better way to put it, you kind of get a tap on the shoulder, and brought on by a great group of guys, and that's how I got involved.
We should back up a bit. Title, sure. When I say title, I'm referring actually to title insurance when it comes to home ownership and lending, right?
That's right.
So what's the purpose of title, having a title company or title insurance involved with the transaction?
Very good question. It's interesting. People might see it if they refinance or if they buy a house. They know they've paid for title insurance. What the heck is it? It's one of those question marks. People, they just they do the paperwork. There's a couple of different requirements for title insurance. Certainly if you refinance, like with Swift Loan, the funder, the person who finances the loan, is going to want to know who they're lending money to. So it actually is required by the lender that the borrower pay for this search, if you will, on that borrower. For example, this person may be in the middle of a big lawsuit, and they want to borrow $500,000-$600,000,
or have tax liens.
All kinds of stuff. And now we're kind of getting into what title insurance does and what it seeks out. And that may not be a good borrower. So title insurance certainly required by the lender. And then as someone who's selling your house, you again, there's two policies on a purchase. Questions about that, but there's really kind of who is selling the house to the buyer. It's this person who they say they are. They just happen upon this nice for sale sign, and here, buy my house. Oh yeah, here's a check for $1 million.
Right.
Thanks a lot.
So the title insurance piece, there's two pieces of title insurance. There's one piece that insures the lender. So on refis, the lenders are requiring title insurance, and we structure title insurance into every refinance to protect the lender.
That's right.
And then on purchases, since there's a seller involved and a lender involved and a buyer involved, the other piece of title insurance protects the buyer.
That's correct. For
clear title when they're purchasing this property from this
person. We hope is the person who owns the house.
That's
or is on title, and that's part again of title insurance. Of course, we do a very extensive search on that individual. We of course check the property for any liens that are attached to the property, and then we'll run what's called an SI or a GI. It's kind of acronyms for basically a search on that individual. we get their social, and so we look and see if they have other properties. They've got liens or what's called a lis pendens, which is a pending legal action against them. So we'll do a search on that individual too to find out if there's some big dark cloud coming that might encumber this property they're selling to you.
So the purpose of title insurance really then is to provide clean, clear title to either a new lender or a new homeowner.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, basically, the lender's going to require it to protect their lending you the money. They want to know who the heck you are borrowing all this money. And on a purchase, it protects the person buying the property from whoever has transferred title to them, making sure that it is, again, a clear, clean transfer and not coming with a whole bunch of unknowns.
So how do you get your business?
There's several sources for me personally. Lenders like yourself are a big source of business. The banks and the brokers and the mortgage bankers, which some of your listeners may or may not know the distinguishing factors among those. You might clarify that. And then another source of business for me is the real estate agents. They actually, when they go on their listing appointment, again, because title insurance is one of those things that is probably obscure to the person who might be selling their house. They wouldn't necessarily know how to go and find a title insurance company. The realtor comes as part of their listing agreement or part of their demo to their client. They come with a team of professionals. They might come with a lender, they might come with a escrow company, a title company. Basically, here, potential home seller, don't worry about this stuff because I've got my team. And it's kind of a power partner thing, if you will. So that's a target market for me as well.
Yeah, title is kind of a silent piece to the transaction, unless there's a problem with the ownership of the property, right, or the title to the property, basically. Yeah,
that's right. And it's funny. It's a very good point. Oftentimes, people, and you might have even heard it from some of your borrowers, why do I pay for this title insurance?
Right.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I get calls from professionals like yourself in our industry, et cetera, but I get calls from individuals. We might talk about that as well, because it's very interesting what you find when you do a search on a property. It is not uncommon for a property to often and not even be vested, as we say, is the term, in the name of the person who thinks that they own the property. So there are all kinds of things we find just stumbling upon. Liens, deeds of trust, they're basically, when someone borrows money, placed on the wrong property, the wrong name. They think they're in a trust, which is a way often to protect property. They're not. There's just all kinds of stuff we see on a daily basis. Some of it's just a mistake with the recording, and some of it is actually stuff that popped up that they weren't aware.
Do you see more title issues these days with the short sales and the foreclosures and all of the kind of weird title transfers that have gone on that are resulting in resales? Do you see a lot of title issues with those more so these days?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With the market kind of, you and I have both been in the industry through this, wonderful, crazy time over the past few years, starting about 06, 07. So we continuously both been in the industry. It's been a crazy roller coaster ride, and not only for us as professionals in this industry, but for homeowners as well. It's not some secret about what's transpired. So everyone's